Ethan Cole had always wanted a quiet life. He liked routines, quiet evenings, and mornings where the only sound was the hiss of his coffee machine. He worked at a small data analysis firm in the heart of the city. Numbers, charts, and reports were his friends, and he liked it that way. Life was peaceful, predictable, and safe. His friends, however, thought otherwise. They wanted him to experience life and meet someone new. Over countless evenings of insistence and friendly nagging, they convinced Ethan to go on a blind date. He had resisted at first, but eventually gave in. He reasoned it wouldn't hurt to try as long as it stayed harmless and simple. On the evening of the date, Ethan dressed carefully, choosing a crisp blue shirt and dark jeans. He ran a hand through his hair and glanced at the mirror. Just a dinner. Nothing strange. Nothing weird, he reminded himself. He could never have guessed that tonight would be anything but ordinary. The restaurant was sleek and modern, yet warmly lit, with soft music that floated in the background. Ethan arrived a little early, hoping to calm his nerves. He scanned the tables and saw her before she saw him. Lyra was seated at a corner table, her posture graceful, her presence magnetic. She looked up and smiled, a smile that seemed to know more than it should. "Ethan?" she asked, her voice calm and musical. "Yeah, hi. I'm Ethan," he said, feeling his heart beat a little faster. "Lyra," she replied simply, gesturing to the empty seat opposite her. He noticed something strange in her eyes, a shimmer almost like light reflecting off water. He shook his head slightly. Probably just his imagination. They started with small talk. Lyra asked about his work, his hobbies, and his favorite books. Ethan, though nervous, found himself talking more freely than he expected. She listened with interest, her head tilted slightly, eyes bright. There was something about her that made him feel understood, as though she could see past the small walls he kept around himself. As the meal progressed, Ethan noticed subtle oddities. The restaurant lights seemed to dim and brighten in rhythm with Lyra's voice. The ambient music changed in tempo, though no one else seemed to notice. When he reached for his glass of water, it trembled slightly, as if responding to some invisible pulse. He tried to dismiss it as coincidence, so, "Do you come here often?" Ethan asked, trying to keep the conversation normal. Lyra tilted her head, her gaze distant for a moment. "Not really," she said. "I travel often. Different places, different perspectives. I like to see how people live, how they think." Ethan blinked. She spoke like a poet, but her words also carried a subtle weight, a depth that made him uneasy and curious at the same time. "Oh, traveling sounds exciting," he said. "I mostly stay here. Work, home, books. That's about it," Lyra smiled faintly. "There's value in that too," she said. "Not everyone needs constant excitement. Sometimes understanding one place deeply is more important than seeing many places superficially." Her words made Ethan pause. They were strange, yet comforting. He felt a connection forming, an unusual bond that he could not explain. For a moment he forgot his nerves. For a moment everything felt calm and natural. As dessert arrived, the lights in the restaurant flickered softly. Ethan frowned, but Lyra remained unfazed. She leaned slightly closer, her eyes bright and attentive. "Ethan, have you ever wondered how many different ways life can exist?" she asked, her tone curious yet serious. He blinked. "Life? You mean?"
"Like people?"
"Not only people," she said gently. "Life in the universe. Life in forms you cannot imagine. Different senses, different rules, different perspectives." Ethan laughed nervously, unsure how to respond. I guess I never thought about it much. I mean, I like science fiction books, but I've never really, considered that seriously." Lyra's smile was faint but knowing. "Books are just a window. Sometimes it is better to see directly." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine, though he couldn't say why. Her words were strange yet oddly compelling. He took a sip of water, wishing the trembling glass wasn't so noticeable. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. Not the usual electricity flicker, but a gentle, almost musical change in brightness. The walls seemed to shimmer for a brief second, like the air itself was moving. Ethan stared at Lyra, feeling his pulse quicken. Is something wrong?" he asked, his voice slightly shaky. Lyra's expression remained calm. "Nothing is wrong, Ethan, just different perceptions. Sometimes the universe shows hints of what is hidden if one is willing to notice." Ethan swallowed hard. He wanted to ask more, but words failed him. There was something unusual about her, something that went beyond mere charm or intelligence. Something powerful, something alien. They continued talking, the conversation flowing easily despite the undercurrent of tension Ethan felt. Lyra's questions became more personal, probing yet never intrusive. She seemed to understand him more than he understood himself. As the dinner came to an end, Ethan felt a strange reluctance to leave. There was a sense that the night had already shifted from ordinary to something extraordinary. "Do you want to go for a walk?" he asked, almost without thinking. Lyra tilted her head, considering. "I would like that," she said softly. Outside, the city lights shimmered on wet pavement from a recent drizzle. The air smelled faintly of rain and ozone. They walked in silence for a while, Ethan stealing glances at her, noticing small, impossible details, like the way her shadow moved slightly out of sync with her, or how the light seemed to bend softly around her form. "Ethan," she said suddenly, breaking the quiet, "you should know. I am not like anyone you have met before." He froze. I'm sorry?" "What do you mean?" She paused, her gaze steady. "I am not human." Ethan laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. "Okay, alien. Very funny. You're tall, graceful. But alien?" Lyra smiled faintly, but there was no humor in it. "Yes, I'm an alien. An empress of a distant civilization. I came here to learn, to understand, to connect." Ethan stopped walking, the city around him fading into blur as his mind raced. "You're serious?" "I am," she said calmly. "I had hoped to meet humans naturally, to see what makes your species special. You, Ethan, were chosen as someone I could observe, someone I could speak with openly." Ethan felt his legs weaken. He had wanted a quiet life. He had wanted peace, and now the world he knew had just expanded in ways he couldn't begin to imagine. What happens now?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Lyra extended her hand. "Now you decide. You can turn back and forget this night, or you can step into a wider universe, one full of possibilities you have never dreamed of." Ethan looked at her hand, feeling the weight of the choice. The ordinary life he had always cherished was gone. There was no turning back. The city lights seemed smaller now, insignificant compared to the vastness he felt opening before him. And yet, despite the fear, there was a spark of excitement, a spark that whispered to him that perhaps his ordinary life was only the beginning. Ethan took a deep breath. I want to see," he said. Lyra's eyes lit up with a soft glow, almost imperceptible, like starlight captured in her gaze. "Then let us begin," she said. And as they walked toward the edge of the city, a new chapter began. A chapter that would take Ethan beyond Earth, beyond imagination, and into the true story of the universe. The quiet life he had once desired was gone. In its place was adventure, wonder, and the extraordinary presence of an alien empress named Lyra. The night was no longer ordinary. It was the beginning of everything. Ethan's heart still raced as he followed Lyra through the quiet streets. The city seemed almost unreal now, as if the night had changed its rules. His mind spun with questions, each one larger and stranger than the last. An alien empress? How is that even possible? Lyra seemed to sense his turmoil but said nothing. Instead, she led him to a tall building at the edge of the city. Its design was unusual, sharp angles and curves, yet it blended seamlessly with the skyline. A faint hum vibrated through the air as they approached the entrance. "This is your home?" Ethan asked hesitantly. Lyra shook her head. "It is a place of waiting. A vessel, if you will." She reached out to a panel beside the door. Lights shifted in patterns Ethan had never seen before, and the door slid open silently. Inside, the air felt charged, almost alive. Ethan stepped in cautiously. The room stretched far beyond the limits of normal perception. Walls shimmered like liquid glass, and the floor reflected his every step. Holographic lights floated in the air, forming shapes that seemed to pulse with life. "Where are we?" Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "This is my ship," Lyra said simply. "We are still near Earth, but soon you will see more than your world can show you." Ethan felt a mixture of awe and fear. He had always read about space exploration in books, dreamed about visiting other planets, but standing here, feeling the energy of this vessel, he realized he had no idea how vast the universe truly was. Why are you here?" he asked, trying to steady his voice. Lyra's gaze softened. "I come from a galaxy far beyond this one. My people have watched many worlds grow and fall. I came to Earth to understand humans, to see what makes your species special. And now I wish to show you." Ethan swallowed hard. "So you're telling me humans are not alone?" "We are rarely noticed," Lyra said. "Many civilizations exist in secret, watching, learning. Some seek peace, others seek control. You, Ethan, have a chance to see both sides." Ethan's head spun. He had always thought life was simple. Work, sleep, repeat. Now he faced a reality that was unimaginably vast and complex. Lyra led him to a circular chamber at the center of the ship. In the middle hovered a sphere glowing softly. It projected images of stars, planets, and strange alien worlds. Ethan stepped closer, mesmerized. "Is this a map?" he asked. "In a way," Lyra said. "It shows the territories of my civilization, our allies, and our enemies. And it shows the potential of your species." Ethan frowned. "Potential? We're humans. We barely leave Earth." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "Potential is not measured by technology alone. Humans have qualities others lack: creativity, resilience, intuition, courage. Qualities that can change the course of events, even in a universe filled with advanced beings." Ethan felt a strange pride mixed with disbelief. Could humans really matter in the vastness of space? Could they really make a difference? Before he could ask more, the ship trembled slightly. Lights flickered and a low hum deepened. Lyra's expression changed. She moved swiftly to a control panel, her hands tracing patterns Ethan could barely comprehend. "What's happening?" Ethan asked, panic rising in his chest. "A disturbance," Lyra said calmly. "A faction from my galaxy has tracked me here. They believe humans are weak, unworthy of protection. They do not know the value you bring." Ethan's stomach tightened. "So, they're coming?" "Yes, soon, but we have time," Lyra said. She turned to him, her eyes serious. "Ethan, I need your help. Not just as a passenger, but as a human. Your perspective is important." Ethan's mind raced. Him, a normal human? How could he possibly help an alien empress against powerful forces from another galaxy? I don't know if I can," he said honestly. Lyra smiled faintly. "You may not think so, but you already have. By staying here, by choosing to see beyond your world, you have already begun." Ethan hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, I'll try. But I don't even know where to start." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder and he felt a warmth spread through him, steadying his nerves. "Start by observing. Start by thinking. Humans have a way of finding solutions where others see only problems." Ethan took a deep breath and focused on the glowing sphere. Lyra began explaining her people's technology, their principles, and their diplomacy. She spoke of star systems governed by alliances, of conflicts waged over resources and knowledge, and of civilizations that had existed for millennia. Ethan listened, fascinated and overwhelmed. Yet as the hours passed, he began to see patterns. Alien politics, while complex, often mirrored human behavior. Strategy, trust, betrayal, hope, these were universal. Lyra noticed his insight. "You see clearly," she said. "Most humans would be blinded by fear or disbelief. But you observe and think. This is why I brought you here." Ethan felt a mix of pride and doubt. He was just a man who liked quiet life. Yet here he was, understanding alien strategies and thinking about ways to protect both Earth and Lyra. As the night deepened, Lyra showed him the ship's capabilities. It could travel faster than light, navigate unknown galaxies, and shield itself from attacks. Ethan marveled at the screens, the controls, and the way the ship seemed almost alive. "You can operate this?" he asked. Lyra shook her head. "You can learn to use parts of it. Some things are too complex for humans, but creativity, intuition, that is where humans shine. You can do things my people cannot anticipate." Ethan felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, humans could matter in this vast universe. Suddenly, the sphere in the center pulsed, projecting a holographic image of an approaching fleet. Ethan's eyes widened. Ships of unfamiliar design, sleek and dangerous looking, moved through space with precision. "They're here," Lyra said quietly. "The rogue faction. They will try to stop us, and they underestimate humanity." Ethan's mind raced. How could he, a normal man, help against such power? But Lyra's words lingered. Humans have qualities others lack. Qualities that can change the course of events. He looked at the approaching ships. He didn't feel fear. Not entirely. Instead, a strange determination rose within him. Maybe he wasn't just a man who liked quiet life. Maybe he was someone who could rise to the challenge, Lyra noticed his resolve. Good, that is what I hope to see. You may be ordinary by Earth standards, Ethan, but you are extraordinary in ways even I did not expect. Ethan felt a shiver run through him. He had never thought of himself as extraordinary, but standing here, facing a universe far larger and more dangerous than anything he had imagined, he began to understand what she meant. The rogue ships drew closer. Alarms sounded on the ship, a low but urgent vibration that resonated through the floor. Ethan followed Lyra as she moved to the control console, hands flying over controls with a speed and precision he could barely follow. Ethan, observe, she said. Watch and learn. You may have to act soon. He nodded, eyes fixed on the screens. Patterns of movement, energy fields, and weapon trajectories filled the room. For a moment everything felt chaotic, but then he saw it, an opening, a small flaw in their formation. His mind worked quickly, analyzing and suggesting a possible maneuver. Lyra looked at him sharply. Explain. Ethan hesitated, then spoke. If we use the ship's energy field to reflect their approach, we could create a temporary barrier. Then we could redirect their attack away without direct confrontation. Lyra's eyes widened in surprise. Interesting. Human ingenuity. Yes, we will try it. Working together, they activated the maneuver. The ship's energy field pulsed and the rogue ship's attack scattered harmlessly into space. Ethan felt a thrill of triumph. He had helped. A human had made a difference. Lyra turned to him, her expression a mixture of pride and relief. See? Humans are capable of more than most believe. Your species has potential that even we cannot predict. Ethan smiled, a mix of relief and excitement surging through him. His peaceful life was gone, but in its place was something greater, purpose, adventure, and the knowledge that humans could matter in ways he had never imagined. As the rogue ships retreated, Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder again. This is only the beginning, Ethan. Soon you will see the full scope of what awaits, and you will play a role that may change not just Earth but the galaxy. Ethan nodded. He felt ready. Not completely, but enough. Enough to step into the unknown, to face challenges beyond imagination, and to discover the extraordinary potential within himself and his species. The stars outside shimmered, endless and infinite, and Ethan realized for the first time that his ordinary life had only been the calm before an adventure far larger than he could have ever dreamed. Ethan stood in the center of Lyra's ship, still trying to take in everything around him. The walls shimmered faintly with energy, and the floor seemed to pulse beneath his feet. The vastness of space stretched beyond the transparent sections of the ship, stars twinkling like diamonds against black velvet. He could feel the hum of the engines, more like a living heartbeat than machinery. Where are we going? He asked, trying to mask his awe with curiosity. Lyra walked beside him, her calm presence steadying him. Away from Earth for now. I must show you more, teach you what you need to know, and prepare you for what may come. The rogue faction will not stop easily. Ethan nodded, though the weight of her words pressed on him. His ordinary life of quiet evenings and simple routines was gone. In its place, he faced the unknown, alien technology, interstellar politics, and danger unlike anything he had ever imagined. As the ship accelerated, Ethan felt the unusual sensation of faster-than-light travel. Stars stretched into lines of light, and the blackness outside seemed to bend and shimmer. He stumbled slightly, his stomach turning as the ship glided through space with effortless grace. Are you okay? Lyra asked, her hand brushing lightly against his arm. Yes, it's just weird. Amazing, Ethan said, trying to keep his voice steady. I've read about this, but feeling it's unreal. Lyra smiled faintly. It is always different when experienced, not imagined. They entered a chamber filled with floating holographic panels. Lyra gestured to them, and alien symbols and images danced in the air. Ethan leaned closer, trying to make sense of them. These are the fleets of the rogue faction, Lyra explained. They have tracked me across several galaxies. They see humans as weak, unworthy of consideration. But I believe differently, Ethan frowned. They'll attack Earth? Perhaps, Lyra said softly. That is why you must learn. Your species can act in ways others cannot anticipate. Humans are resourceful, adaptable, unpredictable. That is your strength, Ethan swallowed. The idea that humans, him, his friends, ordinary people, could matter in a galactic conflict seemed impossible. Yet looking at Lyra, he felt a quiet determination rising within him. "Show me," he said. "Teach me what I need to know," Lyra nodded. "Then watch and learn." The first lesson is observation. Notice patterns, find weaknesses, and think creatively. Do not rely solely on technology. Rely on your mind, your instincts. Ethan spent hours studying the controls, the holographic maps, and the ship's defensive systems. Lyra guided him, explaining the principles behind each technology in terms humans could understand. It was complex, but he found himself thinking faster, seeing connections he had never noticed before. "You are learning quickly," Lyra said. "Most humans would be overwhelmed, but you see beyond the obvious." Ethan felt a small swell of pride. Perhaps he could rise to this challenge. Perhaps humans truly did have a role to play. Just as he began to feel confident, the ship's alarm system blared. A red light bathed the chamber in urgency, and Lyra's expression hardened. "They're approaching," she said. "The rogue fleet has found us." Ethan's pulse quickened. He had expected danger, but seeing the fleet on the holographic map made it real. Sleek alien ships, faster and more advanced than anything humanity had created, moved toward them with deadly precision. Lyra moved swiftly to the control console, her fingers dancing over the panels with practiced ease. "Ethan, I need you to observe the enemy's formation. Look for weaknesses, openings, anything they cannot predict." Ethan leaned closer to the display. Ships moved in patterns, their energy fields pulsing rhythmically. He studied their movement carefully, noticing subtle irregularities in the formation. "There," he said, pointing. "If we maneuver here, their lead ships will be slightly off balance. It's not much, but it could give us a chance to escape or counter their attack." Lyra's eyes widened. "Human intuition? Remarkable. We will try your idea." Working together, they executed Ethan's maneuver. The ship's energy field shifted, creating a temporary barrier that deflected the rogue fleet's initial attack. Ethan's heart raced as he watched the result. The enemy ships faltered, their coordinated assault disrupted. "You did it," Lyra said, her voice a mix of pride and amazement. "Humans can do what even my people cannot always predict." Ethan swallowed, his hand still trembling slightly. I just noticed a pattern." "That's all?" Lyra smiled. "Exactly. Observation, intuition, and adaptability. That is your strength." The rogue fleet adjusted quickly, realizing their initial plan had failed. Ethan could feel the tension building, the danger closing in. Yet he also felt a strange confidence. He was contributing, making a difference, and proving that humans were not insignificant. Lyra turned to him. "Now the second lesson, improvisation. Technology is powerful, but it is not everything. You must learn to use what you have creatively, to think faster than the enemy." Ethan nodded, gripping the edge of the console. "I'm ready." Over the next few hours, they worked together to evade the pursuing fleet. Ethan suggested tactics that relied on unpredictability, human cunning, and quick thinking. Lyra implemented them with precision. Each time they gained a small advantage, proving that even against superior technology, human ingenuity could shine. During a brief pause in the chase, Ethan leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. "I can't believe this. I'm actually helping me, a human." Lyra's gaze softened. "Humans are underestimated. That is why your contribution matters. You may be ordinary on Earth, but here, you are extraordinary." Ethan smiled, feeling a new sense of purpose. He had wanted a peaceful life, but he realized now that life had more to offer than comfort. Adventure, responsibility, and courage were also part of living, and he could rise to meet them. As they navigated through a dense asteroid field, the rogue ships pressed harder. Ethan observed the formations carefully, predicting their movements. "If we lure them into the field," he suggested, "their larger ships will struggle to maneuver. That will give us an opening." Lyra's eyes lit with approval. "Excellent. We will try it." The ship dove into the asteroid field, weaving expertly between massive rocks and debris. Ethan's suggestions guided Lyra's maneuvers, and the rogue fleet, unfamiliar with the terrain, became entangled. Several ships collided with asteroids or had to retreat. For the first time, they had a clear advantage. Ethan felt a thrill unlike anything he had known. Humans, despite their limitations, could turn the tide through clever thinking and courage. He realized that his species had a role in the universe far beyond what anyone had imagined. After escaping the immediate threat, Lyra took a moment to explain further. "Ethan, Humans have qualities we cannot replicate: creativity, intuition, and unpredictability. These will be your greatest weapons. You see patterns, you improvise, you adapt. That is why I brought you aboard my vessel." Ethan listened, humbled yet proud. He had never imagined that his quiet life of observation and problem-solving could prepare him for something so vast. As the night passed, Ethan grew more confident. He learned how to read the ship's systems, understand alien technology, and anticipate threats. Lyra guided him patiently, explaining principles without overwhelming him. Together they plotted a course away from the rogue fleet, toward a nearby safe zone controlled by Lyra's loyal allies. During a quiet moment, Ethan asked, "Lyra, why me? Why choose a human?" Lyra's expression softened. "Humans are unpredictable. Most species follow logic strictly, but humans, you think beyond logic. You act with intuition, courage, and creativity. You see possibilities others ignore. That is why you are important." Ethan nodded slowly, feeling the weight of her words. He had always thought himself ordinary. Now he understood that ordinary did not mean powerless. Humans could make a difference even on a galactic scale. As they approached the safe zone, Lyra prepared for docking. "Soon, you will meet others who are like me, who will test your understanding further. But remember this: your perspective, your humanity, is your greatest strength. Never underestimate it." Ethan felt a quiet determination. He had wanted a simple life, but now he embraced the adventure before him. He would learn, adapt, and face whatever challenges came next. For the first time, he realized that life's true meaning was not comfort, but growth, courage, and the willingness to step into the unknown. And as the stars stretched infinitely outside the ship, Ethan felt ready. Ready to prove that humans, despite their smallness in the universe, could shine brightly if they dared to try. The adventure had only begun. Ethan felt the familiar hum of Lyra's ship as it descended toward Earth. The city below glimmered like a jewel, unaware of the cosmic events unfolding above. Despite the beauty, he felt tension. Lyra had made it clear the rogue faction would not stop. Humanity's survival depended on preparation, and on humans stepping up in ways they had never imagined. They landed outside the city, in a hidden base Lyra had prepared. Ethan stepped onto Earth soil, taking a deep breath. The air smelled of rain and grass, comforting in its normalcy yet strange after days of traveling through space. "This is the start," Lyra said, her voice calm yet commanding. "We must prepare humans to help defend Earth. They will need guidance, but their creativity will be key." Ethan nodded. He realized he was now part teacher, part strategist, and part bridge between humans and alien technology. It was overwhelming, but also exciting. They began recruiting volunteers, people willing to learn and fight. Lyra selected those with sharp minds, quick reflexes, and courage. Among them were engineers, pilots, and ordinary citizens who showed unusual problem-solving skills. Ethan noticed the spark in their eyes. Humans could rise to challenges when needed, even if they had lived ordinary lives until now. "Your task," Lyra explained to the group, "is not just to follow orders. You must observe, adapt, and create solutions humans would not expect." Training began immediately. Lyra taught them alien defensive techniques, while Ethan translated them into simple, practical terms humans could grasp. Humans practiced with energy shields, advanced targeting systems, and simulated space combat. Ethan watched in awe as ordinary people quickly adapted to extraordinary technology. "This is amazing," he said to one young recruit, Mara. "You're learning faster than I expected." Mara smiled. "We want to help. We can't just sit and wait while something threatens Earth." Ethan realized this was the essence of humanity: courage, adaptability, and determination. Despite their limitations compared to aliens, humans could shine where technology alone failed. But the training was not without challenges. Some humans doubted their abilities and others struggled with fear. Ethan spent hours encouraging them, showing that mistakes were part of learning. Slowly, confidence grew. One night, after a long day of exercises, Lyra pulled Ethan aside. "There is something you must know," she said, her voice low. "Not all humans we recruit are entirely loyal. The rogue faction has spies. They want to see us fail." Ethan's stomach tightened. "A spy?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, be cautious. Trust will be tested." Days later, Ethan discovered the betrayal firsthand. One of the recruits, a young engineer named Harlan, tampered with the ship's systems during a critical simulation. Alarms blared, and for a moment disaster seemed inevitable. "Harlan," Ethan shouted, rushing to override the sabotage. The ship's energy shields flickered dangerously. Lyra appeared instantly, her hands moving over controls with precise speed. "Ethan, act quickly. Use your instincts." Ethan analyzed the system. Harlan had rerouted energy, but he noticed a small loophole. Using a combination of human intuition and Lyra's technology, he corrected the system, restoring stability just in time. The breach revealed Harlan's allegiance. Lyra confronted him calmly. "You have chosen poorly. Humans are capable of courage and ingenuity. Do not underestimate them." Harlan was removed from the team. Ethan felt a mix of anger and pride. Anger at the betrayal, but pride in how humans, including himself, had handled the crisis. The incident became a turning point. The humans, though vulnerable, had learned to trust each other, to rely on their instincts, and to act with courage even under pressure. Ethan watched as bonds formed, as ordinary people became extraordinary defenders. Soon, news arrived. The rogue faction had identified Earth's location. A small fleet would arrive within days, testing humanity's readiness. Ethan and Lyra worked tirelessly, coordinating humans and alien technology to prepare defenses. On the eve of the battle, Ethan stood with the team, feeling a mix of fear and determination. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember, Ethan, humans are strong in ways others cannot anticipate. Lead them with courage and they will rise." Ethan nodded, realizing the truth in her words. Humanity's strength was not in advanced technology or raw power. It was in creativity, courage, and the ability to act when it mattered most. The night was silent, but anticipation hung thick in the air. Tomorrow humans would face their first true test. The sun had not yet risen when the alarms blared. Ethan jumped to his feet, heart pounding. The rogue fleet had arrived, their sleek ships cutting through Earth's atmosphere with precision. The moment of truth had come. "Stay calm," Lyra said, her voice firm. "Humans, follow the plan. Observe, adapt, and act." Ethan looked at his team. Fear was present, but so was determination. These ordinary people, now trained and ready, would fight alongside an alien empress to defend their planet. The battle began. Energy beams streaked across the sky. Alien ships maneuvered with deadly grace, and Earth's defenders coordinated through a combination of human strategy and Lyra's technology. Ethan moved among them, giving instructions, observing patterns, and adjusting tactics in real time. The rogue faction was powerful, but humans proved unpredictable. Ethan directed small teams to use their environment creatively, mountains, rivers, and urban structures, to gain advantages the aliens had not anticipated. At one critical moment, the rogue fleet attempted a concentrated strike on the city. Ethan noticed a flaw in their formation, a narrow gap between their lead ships. Acting on instinct, he directed a human squad to exploit the opening, redirecting the attack and saving thousands of lives. Lyra watched, impressed. Humans truly are remarkable. Courage, intuition, they make a difference. The battle raged, intense and unrelenting. Ethan's team faced losses, but their resolve never wavered. Humans used creativity, adaptation, and quick thinking to counter alien technology in ways the rogue faction could not predict. Finally, the tide turned. Using a combination of Lyra's technology and Ethan's human-inspired tactics, they created a barrier that forced the rogue fleet to retreat. Ships that had once seemed unstoppable were scattered and confused. Victory was within reach. When the last of the rogue ships fled into space, Ethan felt a rush of relief and pride. Humans had risen to the occasion. Ordinary people had become heroes, proving that courage and ingenuity mattered as much as advanced technology. Lyra turned to him, her eyes filled with approval. "You have done well, Ethan, and so have your people. Earth is safe for now, but more importantly, you have shown that humans can rise to meet challenges beyond imagination." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he had never known. He had wanted a peaceful life, but now he understood that life's greatest value was in courage, growth, and making a difference. As the battle ended, Lyra addressed the humans. "You have proven yourselves capable. You have shown qualities that even we with our technology cannot replicate. I offer you an alliance. Earth and my empire united in trust and purpose." Ethan watched as humans and aliens began to coordinate, sharing knowledge, technology, and ideas. For the first time, he felt humanity's true potential, small yet brilliant, creative yet courageous, ordinary yet extraordinary. Later, as the city quieted and the sun rose over Earth, Lyra approached Ethan. The universe is vast. Ethan, there will be challenges, discoveries, and adventures beyond what you have imagined. You can stay here, or come with me and see it all. Ethan looked at the horizon, thinking of the ordinary life he had once wanted. He remembered quiet evenings, books, and safety, but he also remembered courage, growth, and the thrill of adventure. Want to see, he said, finally smiling. I want to see everything. Lyra nodded, a faint glow in her eyes. Then come, let us explore the stars together. Let humanity's light shine across the galaxy. And so Ethan stepped into a new life, a life of adventure, courage, and limitless possibilities, a life where humans could truly matter. Earth remained his home, but the universe became his stage. Together with Lyra, and with humanity's spirit guiding him, Ethan faced the future boldly, bravely, and with hope. For in a universe vast and mysterious, humans had proven one truth: even ordinary beings could achieve extraordinary things, and the story was only beginning.